Hey guys, Kevin for S.H.I.E.L.D, Season 3, Episode 14, Watchdogs, and I know this episode is 1 week behind. I figured I'm gonna do what I do with Better Call Saul. I'll review this week's, and the next video will be, last week's, and the next video will be this week's episode. But I was really looking forward to this episode, especially because I was wondering how the show was gonna go on, without Bobby and Lance, because like I've said before, Bobby and Lance, they're one of the best parts of the show. I mean, they were both very funny. They had a real relationship. Bobby kicked a lot of ass. Lance made a lot of wisecracks, and without that part of the show, you're getting rid of one of the best parts of the show. I mean, you still have Melinda to kick ass and things like that, and you also have, some people that can make jokes, but no one really was as funny as Lance, and no one was, I think, as fearless and strong as Bobby. Now, I'm looking forward to most one as much as the next guy, but I really didn't know how the show was going to move forward without those two. And was this episode as good? No, I definitely will not say this episode was not as good, but this was a really great episode. I definitely really liked it, and I like what they did with this episode, because this episode, I think, kind of took the logical step forward and decided to focus on Mac, because we've never really gotten into Mac's home life that much. I mean, when we were introduced to Mac very quickly in the first episode of Season 2, remember, along with Lance and, someone else, I can't remember their name. I think they died, actually. I can't remember their name, though. But we were introduced to those two, Lance and Mac, very quickly. Didn't really get much of a backstory. We kind of got some stuff with Lance, but Mac we really haven't. And this was really the episode to get into Mac's home life, see more of what he's going through, and I really enjoyed that overall. And I like seeing more with Mac, because Mac's kind of in this position where we really haven't known his character. I mean, he's gone from kind of like the quiet guy to then the guy that gives really good speeches to like the funny guy. And this episode, we really got to see who Mac is, and I definitely really enjoyed that. But let's get into this episode, because we start in Naperville, Illinois. We see Mac and his brother Ruben are working on motorcycles together, and Ruben complains that they never got to take the trip that Mac promised. If you remember, Mac was in a motorcycle gang, and Mac insists he just got buried in his work, and, Ruben thinks that, Mac is just insurance. He's basically an insurance and everything, and he does not know that Mac is an agent, which I really like this twist, because it creates some really good dynamics here. Mac says that his job hasn't been that great recently. The management's out of control, and now people keep coming in with no experience, and Mac says that his two friends got transferred for good, and tells Ruben that he's sorry about his layoff. He assures his brother that it's just a temporary setback, and Mac and Ruben then go into the house, and Ruben prepares to cook steaks. They turn on the TV, see a broadcast from a mass group calling themselves the Watchdogs, and they've gathered outside supposed ATCU facility in South Bend, and the Watchdog leader says that they want all the information about the Inhumans released, and right away you can tell the Watchdogs is going to be a threat, because they want this information. The Watchdogs blew up a government facility with implosion grenades and run off, and Ruben says this is awesome. And again, to Ruben this means nothing, because he just thinks that his brother is involved in this insurance. He has no idea that he cares about the Inhumans, and that, his best friend is involved in the Inhumans, because of course we know how much Daisy has cared about this, and Coulson right away calls Mac, says that he needs Mac to check out the incident since he's the closest agent, and, Coulson even says that, hey, I'm down a couple agents and we need you, and you can definitely tell, I think, that Mac is going to be involved in a lot more things, and not that he wasn't before, but now he's really going to have to work a lot harder, because now he's down a couple of agents. Mac gets a lot more to do, and I definitely like that, because I will admit this cast was getting a bit large, and with a large cast, sometimes it's hard to focus on all the characters, and now that they don't have as large as an ensemble because of the two leaving, I think it's good now that we can focus on, Mac and some of those characters that we haven't focused as much on. I'm definitely very happy about that, and I think it honestly was kind of a good thing that we got rid of, Lance and Bobby. I think it was kind of a good thing there. But he tells Mac to figure it out, hangs up. Mac tells Ruben that he has to take off for a couple of hours because of an accident he has to assess, and he promises his brother that they'll have lunch, beers, and bikes when he gets back. And again, Ruben, I think Ruben can kind of tell there's something going on, because obviously Mac's being very secretive about it. He's not really telling him what he's doing. And basically, at the base, Coulson tells Daisy to rendezvous with Mac at the site, report back when they have something. Daisy warns she's been following the Watchdogs online for a while, and until the attack, it's been rhetoric. She figures that something has changed, says hello to Lincoln as he joins them in the hangar after returning from his S.H.I.E.L.D. evaluation. And Lincoln, you guys know, I haven't really felt much of Lincoln. When he was first introduced with Daisy, I liked it. I did. Season 2, I thought he worked very well with training Daisy, teaching her how to be an Inhuman. I like the dynamic they they had, I never really saw them in a romance, though. And ever since they've taken him in this romantic direction, I just haven't believed it. And you guys know, prior to that, I was really enjoying his character. I think he was very interesting. I think there was a lot of interesting stuff they could do with him. This episode is more what I want to see them do with him, definitely, because out of all of them, he is by far my least favorite character on the show right now, because he's the only one that when he comes on, I'm just like, I don't really believe it. But it's mainly because of him and Daisy. That whole dynamic is just not working for me. I don't believe that these two are in a relationship. The two actors really, I don't think, have much chemistry at all, and it just isn't really working for me. But Coulson does tell him that the Inhuman is going to sit the mission out. He walks off abruptly, and basically, Daisy has no choice but to agree, and Lincoln's going to sit this mission out, and this gets a really good chance for Lincoln and Coulson to interact. We get a lot of interaction between these two, and I really enjoyed that, because so far, Lincoln's had interactions, but it's mainly been with Daisy, and this episode shows that Lincoln, I think, does work well with some of the other agents, and I definitely like that. So at the attack site, Fitz begins examining the debris. There's a Watchdog symbol painted on the ground. Mac tells Dave that the site was an ATCU facility, and somehow the Watchdogs found out about it. Now, how they did, we don't know, but Fitz determines that there are traces of an explosive, nitramine, that causes implosions, and they realize that the Watchdogs have figured out a way to stabilize it. Fitz has a substance that will neutralize the nitramine, and once Mac gets a report from Daisy, he tells her that he knew someone who was fixated on stabilizing it and added it to the S.H.I.E.L.D. arsenal. When the agent got out of the hospital after Deathlock broke his spine, he took a lot of S.H.I.E.L.D. secrets with him, and clearly the Watchdogs know a lot about S.H.I.E.L.D., which is very interesting. So the Watchdogs meet their leader, ex-agent Felix Blake, who was with the... I believe with S.H.I.E.L.D., but now he's no longer with S.H.I.E.L.D., and basically he's back in this episode, and he says he has a new plan of attack, and I didn't think, this is the problem, I didn't watch season 1, as you guys know, so I really didn't think much of Felix Blake being back in this, and I don't really think much of us did, because season 1 really wasn't all that great. In my opinion, I didn't even really watch season 1. You guys know I watched 2 episodes, and then I just kind of left, and then I started season 2, and then I was fine with that. But up till now, I've been pretty fine with that, but this I really didn't feel much of, because I did not watch the first season. And yeah, I know I probably should watch, but then at the same time, I don't want to, because I know season 1 is not very good, and I don't really want to watch season 1 because the show is where it is now, and then where it is in season 1, it will just feel like a completely different show. That's the main reason why I don't want to catch up, because, like I said, where the show is now and where it was in season 1 is just so different, and that's why I don't really want to catch up at this point. But I didn't really know who Felix Blake was. I was kind of like, who is this? I didn't really know, so I didn't really have much attachment to this. But at the base, Jemma's practicing on the fire range when Melinda comes in, asks what it's about. She figures that Jemma doesn't like feeling vulnerable and blaming herself, and Jemma says that she points out that Will died trying to save her, and Fitz nearly got himself killed. And I like the bonding between these two here. Basically, Melinda assures her that it's not her fault that Andrew the Inhuman that Jemma freed killed the other Inhumans. Because, yeah, it's not her fault, and even though Jemma feels guilty, she shouldn't, and Jemma basically doesn't believe it, says she's learning to defend herself. Melinda insists that it wasn't her fault and leaves, and Jemma goes back to shooting. And if you remember, I mean, Jemma was the one that, kind of got Andrew and the other Inhumans killed. She feels she's responsible for it, but in many ways she's not, and I like that we saw that, and I like that Melinda's trying to tell her it's not her fault, that it had nothing to do, they basically had to kill him, there was no other way to do that. Even though I don't think that was the best arc in this season, in fact, I think it was kind of a rushed arc, I do like the way that played out overall. I thought that was a good scene. So on the safer, Max says that even his brother's cheering on the Watchdogs. Daisy has been tracking them online, suggested they pick one up, see what he knows, and Mac isn't happy that they're picking people up without evidence, because they don't know if these people are associated with the Watchdogs. They basically are just profiling people randomly, and Daisy insists that she's trying to save lives because she doesn't know, but at the same time, they could be, and they argue briefly. Max says that he's not going along with it. He goes back to see Ruben, and Daisy tells Fitz that he's with him, and I like the way this was done, though, because you can see that Mac really wants to do a lot more. Like, he doesn't just want to just be in the background and kind of just go everything with Daisy saying. No, he really feels attached to this, and I really like that. And I like the clashing between Daisy and Mac. I definitely did enjoy that. So Lincoln finds Coulson, who explains about Blake. He knows where Blake's safe houses are and is taking Lincoln with him to check them out. And that's the thing. Me not knowing a lot about Felix Blake didn't really affect this because it mainly focused on Coulson and Lincoln bonding. And Lincoln is with him to check it out. Lincoln asks about his S.H.I.E.L.D. evaluation, and Coulson admits that he wasn't happy with what he saw, but he wants to see it for himself. So Mac returns to his home, finds Ruben drunk, and Ruben complains about Mac leaving, says that there's a lot going on. He tells Mac that his health benefits are running out and that the mortgage is short, and Mac wonders if he wanted to ask him for money, and Ruben says it'll handle it just like he's handled it, and he reminds Mac he's never been there for him, and the system is rigged to keep people down. And when Mac says that he sounds like a watchdog, Ruben quotes their manifesto, and Mac tells him to stay away from the watchdogs, but Ruben asks if he has the answers and walks away. Because again, I mean, Ruben's kind of thinking, why do you care about the Watchdogs? I mean, you're not associated with the Inhumans. You're not working with S.H.I.E.L.D. Again, to him, he's just some insurance guy. You know, that's what he thinks. He thinks he works insurance, and basically Ruben thinks that he's going to have the answers to these things because he's supposed to work insurance, which, of course, he doesn't, but he has to keep that lie going, which you knew wasn't going to last very long. You can just tell, definitely, that Ruben's going to find out soon. So Melinda calls Jemma into the conference room, shows her everything she has in Andrew's location. She says that Andrew's dangerous, and he's the one responsible for everyone he kills, and when Jemma wonders how Melinda deals with the guilt, Melinda says that she channels it, looking over the files. Jemma says that she's looking in the wrong place, and basically, you know, they're not looking in the right place here. So Coulson and Lincoln fly to Blake's safe houses, and Lincoln finally asks what is on his evaluation, because there's clearly something that he's not telling him was on his evaluation, and his boss tells him that he's there because of Daisy, not because of the cause, and Lincoln's also having control issues, and Lincoln points out that Coulson is testing him continually, and Coulson points out that Lincoln is the only member of the team that he hasn't vetted, and he tells Lincoln to maintain control and follow orders, and he'll determine if Lincoln can be an agent or not, because, and this I like, because it kind of just randomly seemed like Lincoln has become an agent, and I like that Coulson really needs to see, you know, are you good with following orders? Can you really do what I need you to do? Because at this point, Lincoln's only followed Daisy's orders, and he's kind of just been working with Daisy, but you can tell, now that Coulson is down a few agents, he really needs to think, can I keep these agents? Are these agents really going to be there for me? And we really got to flesh out this character more, which I really did enjoy, and I thought that was definitely very well done. So I really like the way this was done. I definitely really enjoyed that. And on one of the Watchdogs, Dallas Wyatt is out driving when his truck goes out of control. Daisy's standing in the roof on the road ahead of him as he brakes to a halt. She gets in the cab and addresses Dallas by name, shatters the window with a gesture. Daisy says that she's one of the freaks, and Fitz arrives and trains a gun on Dallas. And when Dallas refuses to tell Daisy where the Watchdogs meet, she shatters the rear window with her seismic abilities. You can tell right away she definitely is Inhuman. And the next morning, Daisy calls Mac, tells him that the Watchdogs are at Easterling Farms and planning their next attack, and Mac reluctantly agrees to meet her there, hangs up. Ruben has overheard them talking and says he's making lunch. Mac says he has a thing, walks out, and Ruben can definitely tell there's something more going on. I mean, he can just tell. I mean, he keeps leaving. His brother's not there. There has to be more than just he's an insurance guy. He knows that there's something more going on. Now, what it is, he doesn't know, but he definitely has an idea that there definitely is something more going on here, and I definitely really enjoyed that. So Jemma reviews Melinda's dates. Basically, oh, that's not where we are. Melinda calls Jemma into the conference room and shows her everything she has on Andrew's location. Oh, I just read this. So basically, Jemma reviews Melinda's date, explains that Andrew is an Inhuman. She suggests that Lash is being driven by basic instincts and they need to think like a doctor rather than a spy. Because basically, there has to be something going on with him, and Melinda admits that if she catches Andrew, then she'll kill him because there's no choice. And Jemma says that there may be a choice. She suggests that the vaccine will work on Andrew because he hasn't finished his transition. Remember, Andrew's not dead. They've just neutralized him, and he's not dead yet. And Melinda tells Jemma to not give her hope because she doesn't want it. And Daisy, Mac, and Fitz sneak into the farm. They take out the guards with icers. Fitz sends a drone into the barn where Blake and his men are going over their plan. Daisy recognizes Blake's voice, texts Coulson, and in Atlanta, Coulson and Lincoln break into one of Blake's safe houses. They hear something moving and continue in, and Fitz tries to spot Blake. Ruben pulls up. Mac tells him to go home. Daisy says that they have to get Ruben out. The Watchdogs come out. Mac stuns them with his icer. Daisy takes out another Watchdog with her powers, and Ruben drives off. And meanwhile, Mac says that they're outnumbered, tells Daisy and Fitz to get out while he puts a lid in it, heads for the barn, and basically Coulson and Lincoln then check out the safe house basement, and I love the way that scene was done because all of a sudden the Watchdogs are getting involved, and Ruben still doesn't really know his occupation, but he can definitely tell that he's not just an insurance agent. He knows there's more going on there. So Daisy tells Fitz that she's going to take out Blake rather than fall back, and she gets to the barn, but there's no sign of Blake. Coulson and Lincoln find a man staying in the middle of the basement. It's Blake, who turns with a gun and says that he's everywhere, and a Watchdog shoots a nitramine capsule into Fitz's neck. Daisy knocks him out, injects the nitramine with a neutralizing agent. It slows down the reaction, but doesn't stop it, and Fitz warns that it will soon go off and he'll implode, and this was really crazy, but you know that they're not going to kill off these characters. You know that they're going to be okay, and that was the thing this episode. The only problem with this episode is that the Watchdogs, for me, they seem like a threat, but you knew that they were going to be okay in the end. You knew that was going to happen because this is and Hydra. They're not the main villains, and the fact that we didn't even really focus on Hydra in this episode, I thought was very interesting that we didn't really focus on them. So Blake and Missy expected the ATCU to show up at the compound, figures that Coulson is keeping S.H.I.E.L.D. inside of the ATCU, and he says that when he got out of the hospital, he discovers that Coulson is using the Inhumans, and Coulson insists that S.H.I.E.L.D. protects mankind, but Blake points out that they've caused nothing but chaos, and in many ways, yeah, I mean, they haven't necessarily tried to stop the Inhumans rather than train them, and in, Blake's mind, it's caused all the problems, and suspicious Coulson realizes that Blake is stalling and asks why. He can tell that there's something going on here that Blake is just not telling him, and Daisy then takes Fitz to the Zephyr, enters a containment model with him, and Dallas is locked up inside. The bomb is digging into his neck. It's too unstable for Daisy to blast off. Daisy orders Dallas to tell them where they put in the bomb. He says that he doesn't know. She slams him against the wall. All Dallas knows is that Blake suspended the nitramine, and Fitz realizes that they have to stop the substance housing the nitramine. He tells Daisy to freeze it, and she goes to get a canister of liquid nitrogen. Blake then tells Coulson that the cell in Indiana is only one of many, and Coulson holsters his gun, says that Hydra fed the ATCU target's location to Blake. Lincoln says that Blake is spreading fear, and Blake says that people are already afraid and want the truth. He figures that Coulson has killed someone because he hates him, and Coulson says that Lincoln is also filled with hate, and Coulson says that Lincoln is an Inhuman and hates Blake, but he isn't hurting Blake because of his orders, and he then orders Lincoln to kill Blake, and Lincoln insists that there's another way. He doesn't just want to kill him, there's gotta be another way, and Coulson says that sometimes they do the wrong thing for the right reason, but because it has to be done, and the Inhuman fires an electrical blast. It goes through the hologram of Blake, and Daisy frees the bomb. It deactivates. As Fitz peels it off, Daisy tells Dallas that she's turning him over to the ACCU, and Lincoln realizes that Coulson knew Blake was a hologram, and he knows that Lincoln didn't fire a kill shot, and says that Lincoln did it right, giving a dissenting opinion, but finally obeyed orders. So that's something I thought was really well done. This was basically Lincoln's way of proving himself to Coulson, was basically, even though Coulson knew that this was a hologram, it was his way of proving himself, and I definitely love the way that was done. I thought it was definitely very well handled, the way that they did that, so I really enjoyed that. And Mac then returns home and finds Ruben waiting, and obviously he wants to know who Mac is. He knows that Mac is lying to him. He knows that Mac has been hiding something, and he wonders why he's helping Inhumans, and Mac insists that they're humans, but Ruben figures that it's all lies. He walks away, and he's not just gonna believe this, and that was the thing with this episode. I really wanted Mac to just come clean. I understand this is an occupation where he has to try to be secret about it, but come on, just tell your brother. Just tell him, at that moment, before I was fine with it, but here I was like, come on, can you just tell him the truth? It really was kind of annoying me. So Lincoln and Coulson check out Blake's file, discover that he has a second target. They realize that Blake wanted to keep them from talking with Daisy and others, and he wanted Inhuman for his men to go after, and basically, that was the plan. So Dallas chuckles, says that if he had known Daisy was an Inhuman, they would have gone after her, but they didn't, so they didn't go after her. But Mac then follows Ruben out to the garage, so that he wanted to keep his brother away from his life with S.H.I.E.L.D., and a car pulls up outside, and I like that Mac did admit, though, to Ruben that he is with S.H.I.E.L.D. And the car pulls up outside, while Mac says that he joined S.H.I.E.L.D. to protect the people he cares about. Watchdogs set their motorcycles on fire, then burst in the house and prepare to kill the Inhuman, and realizing that they're trapped, Mac tells Ruben that they've been hunted. Ruben points out that they're not Inhumans, but Mac warns that the Watchdogs will kill them anyway. They don't care who they are, even though they're working with the Inhumans, so that's why they're going to kill them. And the Watchdogs search the house. Mac realizes that there are 5 of them. He gets his father's old shotgun loaded with a birdshot and tells Ruben they'll slip out through the college and escape, and Mac then shuts off the lights and takes out one of the Watchdogs. He gives the man's assault rifle to Ruben. They head for the kitchen, and another Watchdog jumps Mac. A third one opens from above. Ruben fires them. Mac knocks out the Watchdog while that he's fighting. Really intense scene. I love the way this was done. Mac realized that 2 Watchdogs are unaccounted for. He looks outside to spot the remaining 2 men covering their escape route. One of the Watchdogs inside the house recovers, shoots Mac in the arm. As he advances on Ruben, Mac grabs a cleaver and kills him, and as the remaining Watchdogs break in, Max shoves a cleaver into the barrel of the shotgun. He shoots one Watchdog in the leg, then blasts the other. Ruben goes to his brother, says that's why he didn't tell him what he does, and basically that's what's going on, that he knew the danger he'd be in, and that's why he wanted to protect him. My only other problem with this storyline, I have to say, is that the actor that played Ruben, I didn't think was that great, but it doesn't really matter because this is mainly Mac's storyline. So it didn't exactly it wasn't exactly a huge deal that the guy that played Ruben wasn't that great, but in many ways it was because of the impact, things like that. But later the medics take Mac out. Daisy tells Ruben that Mac will be okay, assures him that everything is okay. Ruben's surprised to learn that Mac works for S.H.I.E.L.D, and Daisy suggests they could use Ruben on their side. She missed that she should have been there for Mac, and that Mac is the person she wants when she needs someone to watch her back, and that she should have listened to him. And Ruben smiles satisfaction. Daisy offers him a ride to the hospital, and it looks like Ruben could be working for them, which honestly could be in their favor, because as we know, they're down a couple of agents. They could use someone like Ruben right now. They might need someone like him, and I like that they want to possibly think of using him. So later back at the base, Daisy shows Coulson surveillance video from an hour before the implosion. A van pulls away, and the plates belong to Hydra. Coulson figures it was a distraction and a cover-up, wonders what Gideon took from this facility, and obviously they know he took something. And the van then arrives at a garage. Gaera greets it, and Blake emerges from the shadows in a wheelchair and says that he kept his end of the deal, and we realize that Blake was in fact working with Hydra, and he demands real weaponry so he can hunt down Inhumans. Gaera says if everything goes as planned, they'll both have what they want, looks at the missile inside the van, and that's where the episode ends. So overall, guys, really great episode. I definitely really enjoyed this episode. Like I said, Ruben, for me, not that great of an actor, but I do like that they are thinking of using him. He's someone that they could be using. Ruben doesn't seem to have much of a life, and adding him to S.H.I.E.L.D. really benefits them. But the problem is Ruben really that great at what he does? I mean, is he a good agent? Things like that. It seems like the only reason they want to use him is because of the fact that, you know, he is his Mac's brother, and that he could be there for them. They didn't really give a specific reason why they need Ruben on their side. I honestly don't really know why they want Ruben on their side. Out of all people, I don't think Ruben's really the person to do that. But I did like that Lincoln proved himself to Coulson. I thought that was really good. It shows that Lincoln does work with people other than Daisy, which I definitely like seeing, that Lincoln is good in S.H.I.E.L.D. in general. Like, he is a good ally for them, and they definitely should trust someone like Lincoln, which I definitely like seeing. But I do like that Coulson and the rest of the team, they still don't know about the alien. They still know about the alien. They don't know about Hive. They don't know he's out there. They don't know about Gaera. They don't know about any of those things. And that's something that they're definitely going to find out very soon. It's going to be really bad. We didn't see any of we didn't see any of Malik's daughter. I thought we were gonna see Malik's daughter. We didn't see her. And they made such a big deal in the last episode. Oh, Malik's daughter's here. I mean, it was the post-credit thing in the last episode, and we didn't even see her in this episode. And I was very surprised. It was like, why didn't we see her? What's going on here? It didn't make much sense to me. I'm hoping that we see her and that actually does mean something, that it's not just something that they build up. I'm sure we will see her, but in this episode, we didn't see her. I understand they're trying to focus on more on Mac, which I did like, and I thought the storyline worked very well. Andrew's still out there, and it seems like Jemma and Melinda, they're going to find a way to get to Andrew. They're going to find a way to take him down, and I like that they're trying to think of this less about, you know, the science and more about the doctor sort of way. This is something that they're not as good at, but you can tell that Jemma is very good with that kind of stuff, because she is, I believe, a doctor. I think that Jemma is very good at that kind of stuff. I mean, I don't know her official job, but I think they did that. I think definitely they can do this together. I like seeing that, and I like seeing that Daisy does trust Mac more. Like, she understands who he is, and the Watchdogs are a bit of a threat now, because, you know, the Watchdogs are working with Hydra. There's clearly something that Blake is working with Gaera about. We'll have to see what happens there. Definitely, it's going to be very interesting. I mean, we know that they want Inhumans. We know they want to use Inhumans as weapons against S.H.I.E.L.D. That's basically their plan, and we'll have to see what happens there. But why use the Watchdogs? Because the Watchdogs are there to kill Inhumans, so I can't really tell why he used the Watchdogs. It doesn't exactly make sense to me. But overall, guys, I did really enjoy this episode. Definitely a tough episode to follow up because of the fact that, you know, Bobby and Lance left, and that episode was so strong. Not as strong as that one, but still a very good episode. Let me know what you guys saw this episode, and we'll see you guys in next year, which will be for tonight's episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and we'll see you guys for that. Okay, bye.